कौन हाँ से जो कखारु देला जे पोटल देला से लोग कखा हाँ
Nice dissertation of the Sanskrit sloka and Saraswati Vandana. We are always proud of being Prananath here. Aaj, we belong to one of the prestigious institute of the state, that is our beloved college, Prananath College Autonomous Khurda. So, to pay proper tribute to our great institute, that is Prananath College Autonomous Khurda, I request Mr. Ravi Narayan to play the college anthem. Over to Ravi Narayan.
कौचे कि रे पालो कि एसीएल पहला भरी दियो हैं तापरे काना करबो तुम सोडियम कार्बोनेट दिया है लेकरी टाइट्रेशन करबो
चाबी दियो चश्मा
गाड़ी से सीढ़ी अच्छी तले अच्छी
Thank you all. I request our river principal and the chief of our family, Dr. Ranjita Sethi, to welcome the participants and the preeminent speakers across the globe, which are also online. Over to ma'am.
Thank you, dear. Good morning, gentlemen. This is a great pleasure to inaugurate this 2 days international webinar. I welcome you all to this virtual intellectual interactive session. It gives me immense warmth and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of entire committee. It gives me tremendous contentment to welcome the most esteemed personalities across the globe. I extend my heartfelt welcome to Dr. Pratyut Patnaik, Department of Chemistry and Environmental Science, Newark. Let me inform you that Dr. Pratyut Patnaik is the great son of great father, late Pranath Patnaik, the founder of this prestigious college of the state. Sir, we welcome you among us. Thank you for keeping our request and joining us in the late hour of USA. I welcome Dr. Uday Maitra of Indian Institute of Science. Sir, thank you for joining us and giving us your valuable time. I welcome Abhishek Ray, BEDA Organics, USA. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I also welcome Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan, the research professor, Pushpan, International. Thank you, sir. Welcome you. I extend my hearty welcome to all the online participants joining from different parts of Odisha and abroad. Before beginning this virtual conference, I like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who are sincerely committed to the event for making it success, particularly the members and students of the Department of Chemistry of this college. This 2 days event would have been impossible without the support of each and everyone present here. This is the first international e-conference in the history of this college, which is completely conducted on the digital platform. The today's topic is nanotechnology, which have a multiple utility in different fields, starting from industry to the medicine. Our esteemed resource persons are there with many interesting facts and data, which we will be going to enjoy during this 2 days seminar. So, during this pandemic period, it is a wonderful opportunity to interact with all of you across the globe and sharing our knowledge and sharing this platform for our benefit of the students as well as the faculty member. I thank you, all of you, all the esteemed resource persons, as well as the Department of Chemistry.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your welcome address to our delegates who are online and also offline. Now I request our head of the department, Dr. Ajanta Sathwati, to introduce the guest, the preeminent speakers of today's conference.
departments and our departments, my dear students, I feel privileged and honored and having entrusted with the responsibility of our guests, our university. Thus, I department. College Autonomous, Kota was established in the year 1959. The scope of teaching in science was initially limited to pre-university level since 1964. In 1971, Degree College of Science started. Professor Dibakar Patnaik was first head of the department. Honors course in chemistry began in the year 1974 with 16 seats only. At present, honor students of all the 3 years coming to 180. This department is the largest department with 11 faculty members, 5 demonstrators, and 5 supporting staffs. Today, we are really fortunate to have with us 4 eminent speakers across the globe. Let me introduce all of them who will enlighten us by their inspiring talks in this 2 days conference. Dr. Pradyut Patnaik, Professor in the Department of Chemistry and Environmental Science, New Jersey University of Technology, New York. He has written many books in the field of environmental analysis. Besides, he has over 50 research publications. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Professor Dr. Uday Maitra, Department of Organic Chemistry, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, is also with us. He has been awarded the prestigious Santi Swarup Bhatnagar Award for Science and Technology, which is one of the highest Indian science award. He has many research publications, and under his able supervision, many students have been awarded PhD degree. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us. Another preeminent speaker with us is Dr. Abhijit Rai. He is currently working as Chief Scientific Officer, Sweda Organics, USA. He has also many research publications. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Lastly, let me introduce Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan, Research Professor of Busan National University, South Korea. Dr. Pradhan happens to be the brilliant student of one of our faculty member, Dr. Purna Chandra Vaisar. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. To conclude, I extend my sincere thanks to all of you for participating in this international conference and request you to be with us for both the days. Thank you very much.
There is plenty of room at the bottom. I repeat, there is plenty of room at the bottom. It was the statement of Richard Feynman at an American Physical Society in 1959, where he discussed a process in which scientists would be able to manipulate and control individual atoms and molecules. What he thought in 1959, now it is a reality called nanotechnology. So students, till thank ke baitho, just to enlighten your knowledge in nanotechnology, we have with us our first preeminent speaker, Dr. Abhijit Ray. Let me introduce Dr. Abhijit Ray amidst us. Ray has done his MSc from Utkal University, Bani Bihar, 1988. He happens to one of my senior in BJP college, and he also happens to be the husband of my friend Julia Acharya. He awarded PhD with UGC JRA from Delhi University 1994. Worked as senior scientist in Ranbaxi. He worked there for new drug discovery research until 2001, where he involved himself in discovery of several antibiotics. He then moved Rutgers University and University of Maryland, USA for his postdoctoral degree. He then worked as assistant professor of University of Utah till 2013. He then involved himself in cancer clinical trials till 2017. Currently, he worked as Chief Scientific Officer, Veda Organics, USA. He has many publications, abstract, which is beyond 120, and total citation as Google Scholar beyond 2,900. So now, I request our preeminent speaker, Dr. Abhijit Ray, to deliver his talk. Over to Dr. Abhijit Ray. Dr. Ray, are you there? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Thank you, Priyabrata, for a kind introduction. If I might request a lot of others to mute your speakers, because otherwise we couldn't hear a lot of people while they were speaking. So if there are many mics open, you may not be able to hear me. I have no problem if you have it on, but just keep it on when you want to ask a question. Otherwise, it might be nice to keep it muted. Thank you, Priyabrata and Madam Head of the Department, for your very kind introduction and welcoming me to this institution. I do look forward to, I wish I had been able to interact with the students, because that's where I'm always very excited, because I want to let them know that it is possible for everybody to do everything as long as they want to do it. Saying that, let me directly go into the topic that I would like to discuss. But before that, I think I'll have to share my screen. Share screen, host is disabled. Okay, the host has to enable my screen sharing. If you can enable my screen sharing, I'll be able to share my screen. Whoever is managing, whoever is the host in the presentation, can you allow me to share my screen?
Dr. Ray,
Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
It's fine.
Okay. So I'll be talking briefly today about the area of nanomedicine, which is nanotechnology used for the delivery of drugs. I think the next esteemed speaker after me will be speaking on similar subject, and I hope, since we have not coordinated, I do not know what he's going to speak. Let me start by saying that I chose this topic, or the name, with a purpose, which is called The Fantastic Voyage of Nanomedicine. And it will become very apparent why I selected this topic when you see the next slide, which is a small trailer of a movie which was made in 1966. So this was a trailer of a movie which was made in 1966 of a book written by the famous science fiction writer Isaac Asimov by the same name, Fantastic Voyage. There he describes basically scientists entering the human body and trying to fix a lot of these problems. There were various documentaries that were made subsequently here in the United States, a famous one was the Magic School Bus, where a school bus goes into the human body. Here is a picture. Here is a picture of a school bus entering the human stomach and exploring the human body. In as late as 2000, 2001, 2002, there were artist rendition of a nanobot, which is a nano robot, which is injecting and modifying a red blood cell. So these were science fiction, and as late as 2000, which no longer is a fiction, it is a science fact now. I think there are multiple people speaking. Can you mute other speakers? Because, yeah. Anyway, I'll just move on. If you look at what happens is that I'll show you one last clip here of things that have changed over time. And this is a small. Okay, so this device is a very small device, and the advantage is that you can do colonoscopy without actually having to get sedation and not being anesthetized. You can basically go to the doctor's office, get this done, and leave the doctor's office without any problem. However, this device is still a pretty big device. What I'm talking about today is going to be way smaller than this, and that is, in order to know what that is, let's move on to the next slide. To see whether nanotechnology is only a myth or something which we can already use. There are several drugs which are either in the market or in clinical trials now, which essentially talk of nanotechnology for drug delivery. One famous one is Doxil, which is used for ovarian cancer. Then, of course, we have Abraxane, and I have worked for clinical trials of Abraxane with breast cancer. This is now a prescribed medication. Then we have Vivagel, we have Pegentron, we have Aurimmune. Aurimmune basically is a gold nanoparticle tethered with paclitaxel. So these are in various phases, either of clinical trials or being used in humans. But probably one of the most exciting drugs that is today is this next slide, which is the mRNA vaccine that you and I are getting today against COVID. The technology for the delivery of mRNA was not developed for the delivery of vaccines. This was essentially done for cancer. However, since the platform was ready and the need was there during COVID, this was extensively used. And today I can tell you, I have already received the Pfizer vaccine, which contains the same nanotechnology. One of the most famous scientists here at MIT described this in March 6th edition of 2021 as it is a tremendous vindication for everybody working in controlled drug delivery, that we could deliver this mRNA and that could protect you from COVID. However, in order to understand this, I'm not going to explain this particle. I'm going to explain a different particle. And let's move on to the next slide and try to understand what is nano. In order to understand what is nano, I will give you a few similes. One is, suppose consider a nanoparticle which is 4 nanometers in diameter. If you compare the ratio of this nanoparticle with that of an ant, which is about 1,000,000 times larger than a nanoparticle, the ratio is the same as an ant compared to the racetrack of the Indianapolis racing, which is a 4-kilometer long racing track. So the ratio of the ant to the Indianapolis racetrack is the same as the ratio of the nanoparticle with an ant. Or a different way of looking at it is that if you have a single-walled carbon nanotube and compare that with a human hair, the ratio is the same as that of a human hair with the width of a house. So you can understand how much smaller this is. In a different way of looking at things, if you consider human hair and look at the cross-section of the human hair, if you decide to split it through the middle, it will be a tough job. You will not be able to split it. But if you were told to divide that, say, into 6 different parts like a pizza pie, it would be impossible already for you. But if you were to divide a human hair through its cross-section into 100,000 times, then one strand will be 1 nanometer thick. So you can imagine how small it is. However, why is it necessary to make such a small particle to do anything? And let's look at that. What is the limitation that we have in our present day technology, which makes nanoparticles very, very exciting? Moving on to the next slide, we are talking of chemotherapeutic drugs, which is used for delivery to cancer. One of the biggest challenge of drugs to enter the body is most drugs which are made of carbon backbone are water insoluble. Okay, so whenever you have to make it an injectable or something, you basically need to dissolve it in saline or something or the other, and most of these drugs are water insoluble. The second problem with this is, suppose you are treating a cancer with a specific chemotherapeutic agent. Suppose you have a prostate cancer or a breast cancer or something, and you are giving a drug. What happens is that it is not only toxic to the cancer itself, it is also toxic to different organs. Like it can be toxic to your heart, when it's called cardiotoxic. It can be toxic to your kidneys. And because of these non-specific toxicity, what happens is that many drugs, which are very, very good, cannot be administered to patients. The next problem with chemotherapeutic agents is that it has a low retention. What happens is that it is injected into the body and then it gets excreted, say, within an hour or 2 or 3 hours, it all clears out of the body. So if it doesn't get retained enough long in the body, it cannot work very well. It has a low bioavailability for the same reason. And the next problem is efflux. What happens is that every cell tries to protect itself against entry of any drug. And that happens by efflux mechanism. So if we can bypass this efflux mechanism, what happens is that we can improve the drug delivery to a cancer patient. So in order to understand this whole phenomena, let us divide it into a few parts. How anything enters a body. So I'll be describing how anything, whether it is food, whether it is medicine, whether it is anything, enters the body either orally, or it enters through an injection, or it enters transdermally, where it is given on the skin. But once it enters, say it is given orally, what happens is that it is digested in the stomach, then goes into the intestine, and there it basically crosses from the apical side to the basolateral side, and then carried by the bloodstream for circulation and availability in the whole body. Once the drug enters the blood circulation, may it be in any way, first it goes to the heart, and then the heart pumps it and it distributes it to the whole body. Once the distribution is over, the lot of the drug and the nutrients and waste products are again recycled and comes back to the kidney. At the kidney is a very fascinating organ in the body, and probably, it is like every organ, a very important organ. So what happens is that the blood has a blood pressure which is present. However, the kidney has a lot of capillaries which increasingly get smaller and smaller. So when the blood flows into the kidney, it gets into these smaller capillaries, the pressure becomes extremely high. And the kidney itself is like a filtration system. It's called the organ which filters, it's called the glomerulus. So what happens, the high pressure blood comes into the glomerulus and gets filtered. So anything that enters the kidney, which is less than 7 nanometers, gets filtered through the kidney. Anything which is larger than 7 nanometers cannot be filtered through the kidney. And there are small particles like sodium chloride or salt, which also gets filtered through the kidney. But the kidney has a sophisticated function where 95% of the salt which is filtered out is again reabsorbed and goes back into the blood. So you're not losing the salt constantly, you're only losing a small part of the salt, but all the small particles, including drugs, get filtered out. So this brings in why it is important to have a macromolecule or a nanoparticle, because what happens is that it is so large, it may be 50 nanometers, it may be 100 nanometers, or whatever be the size, it is large enough so that it doesn't get filtered through the kidney. And because it doesn't get filtered through the kidney, it remains in circulation over a long period of time, and that essentially helps treatment. So this is the entry into the body. Moving on to the next slide, it is important to understand a little bit of the tumor biology here. So what happens is that when a tumor is forming, what is a tumor? What is a cancer cell? Cancer cell is something which has lost its ability to check the multiplication. It is a fast dividing cell. So instead of one cell dividing, what happens is that it doesn't divide at the same rate as its neighboring cells. So what happens is that when cells start dividing fast, it takes nutrition from its neighboring cells. But when it starts dividing and becomes as much as 1 billion cells, that is the size of about 1 to 2 millimeters, and that is when the tumor is visible, but there are already 1 billion cancer cells present in your body. Okay, but when you have 1 billion cells in your body, what happens is that it can no longer take nutrition or oxygen or anything from its neighboring cells because it has a higher demand than its neighboring cells. So what happens is that the tumor itself is in stress. And this stress is called hypoxia. It is hypoxic and therefore starts emitting out certain chemicals, which essentially indicate that the tumor itself is in stress. But what happens as a result of this emission of these chemicals, which says hypoxia, it goes to the nearest blood vessel which is there. And there are new blood vessels which start to form that go towards the tumor in order to feed the tumor. This is something which is not specific to the tumor. This is a phenomena which also takes place when a child is born in a mother's womb. Basically, when there are rapidly dividing cells in a mother's womb, there are new angiogenic blood vessels forming so that it can feed the placenta and help the growth of a child. Similarly, in case of a tumor, there are new blood vessels formed. However, the problem with these new blood vessels, which are formed as a result of this distress signal, is that they are very leaky. They have been formed very rapidly in order to feed the tumor, but they are very leaky. So a normal blood vessel essentially is very properly formed. And so when there is a small drug molecule present, and suppose it goes to the heart, that small molecule may leak through these blood vessels. But when there is a macromolecule attached to a drug, they are very large and therefore they cannot leak, and therefore you cannot have cardiotoxicity and other non-specific toxicity is reduced. The second thing that happens is that these drugs which are carried by these macromolecules can easily enter the tumor because they are very leaky. Now, again, there is another thing, there is another phenomena that takes place here, and that is when a tumor is growing. At that time, what happens is that though the blood and nutrition comes through the arteries, it gets drained through the lymphatic system. There is a lymphatic drainage that is associated with the tumor. So what happens is that when the tumor starts growing, the lymphatics get into pressure. There is a high osmotic pressure present there. And as a result, what happens is that nutrients can enter the tumor but cannot escape if they are very large. So this phenomena where the macromolecules can enter a tumor but cannot leave is called the EPR effect, which is enhanced permeation and retention effect. All the macromolecules specifically get arrested in the tumor. So we can specifically target a tumor using this passive method, which is called the EPR effect. And I'm going to show you towards the end a 3-second video, which was taken in our lab, which is an MRI, where you will be able to see how it gets accumulated in the tumor. So this phenomena, again, there is another, I'll take a second with this slide. This was, it was seen that the blood vessels that are present in a normal tissue is a very regular blood vessel. It is very regulated. There is a hierarchy of the blood vessel where the large comes before the small and the smaller and smaller. Whereas in case of a tumor, what happens is that the blood vessels are very random because of the pressure that is there inside the tumor. It becomes very, very random, which makes it very difficult to penetrate and get drug into it. In fact, this work was done by an Indian scientist whose name is Rakesh Jain. He's at the Harvard Medical School. So he's done some awesome job where he shows that if you can alter this pro-angiogenic, anti-angiogenic balance, you can have a lot more drug enter the tumor. Finally, we have been able to enter the tumor macroenvironment with the drug, but how do we enter the cell? Because it's not good enough for a drug to act in the tumor macroenvironment. It has to enter the cell. In order to enter the cell, what happens is that when it is placed close to the cell wall, the cell starts detecting the presence of this macromolecule. This is by receptors which are called clathrin, caveolin, all these receptors which are present. So what happens is that the cell wall starts caving in. When the cell wall starts caving in, the process is called endocytosis, where the cell wall caves in and then encirculates the macromolecule, arrests the macromolecule, and then the ends religate. When they religate, what happens is that it has already captured the macromolecule inside the cell. Once it is inside the cell, this macromolecule, the cell walls have what is called the proton pumps. So protons get injected into this macromolecule. It becomes very acidic. So there are certain enzymes which start to act and releases the drug in that. Again, there is a lot of water also that keeps entering these vesicles, and they also, because of this osmotic pressure, they burst open inside the cytoplasm. So as a result, we have been able to get a drug from outside and get it specifically into a tumor cell. This is how a macromolecule works. So macromolecules basically, or nanoparticles, can be divided into two parts. It can be polymeric, which is organic. And when it is organic, it is called a macromolecule. When it is inorganic, it is called a nanoparticle. And there are gold and other nanoparticles which are present. I'll give you an example of both of them, and I hope you will be able to appreciate that. So polymeric nanoparticles, macromolecules, can be hydroxypropyl methacrylamide. It can be dendrimers. It can be lipid nanoparticles. There are various nanoparticles which can be present, which have been used for drug delivery. And I'm sure Tapas Babu will be able to concentrate on something. I hope it's not HPMA also. So I'll be concentrating on hydroxypropyl methacrylamide. So in the year again, in the same year as this movie was made, a German scientist by the name Ringstorff gave a model, which is called the Ringstorff model, where what he designed is that it should be a macromolecule backbone, which has certain physicochemical properties, whereas it is highly water soluble. So there are a lot of hydroxy group present in the macromolecule. There is a spacer arm to which a drug molecule can be attached. And then there can be a homing device where they can target tumors specifically. So if you can have a homing device, you will get a very targeted delivery to the cancer. So based off of this, there was a molecule called HPMA. HPMA is hydroxypropyl methacrylamide, which essentially was used as a plasma expander. What happened is, for people who had plasma deficiency and needed to be given artificial plasma, they were given HPMA, which was found to be, the advantage of that was that it was well characterized, water soluble, biocompatible, non-immunogenic, and non-toxic. Again, on the basis of that, it could also be tailor-made. So you could actually tailor-make these drugs. You can easily modify them. They had a high drug loading, and they could alter the resistance that is seen in chemotherapy. So because of these advantages, HPMA was chosen as a carrier, like many other carriers which are present in macromolecules. We made this molecule as well, and let me describe the features in this molecule. This is a macromolecule that we made, and some of the features is that it should have a backbone, which is a HPMA. This is the HPMA backbone, which has a hydroxy group here. And in this polymer, 80% of the molecule, the macromolecule, has only this unit. It's a repetition. Okay, 80% of this backbone is this macromolecule. The second part, the second thing that is there is a biodegradable spacer, which is a tetrapeptide, which is glycine, phenylalanine, lysine, and glycine. So this tetrapeptide essentially is a biodegradable spacer, where what happens is that inside that vesicle, because of the pH and lysosomal enzymes that are present, it can degrade this bond. Not all tetrapeptides can be degraded the way this molecule can be degraded. So this is used to tether the drug into this. And we have used a drug which is docetaxel, which is a very well-known anti-cancer drug. The next thing that is there is a non-degradable spacer. And a non-degradable spacer is used for a homing device, which is basically a targeting molecule. So if you have a tumor targeting molecule, and if you have it attached with a non-degradable linker, it will pull the whole polymer to go towards the tumor. If this degrades, only the targeting molecule will go and not go with the rest of the polymer. So you have to have a non-degradable bond. And then finally, you can have something like a lysine molecule present in it, which is used frequently to iodinate it, radioiodinate it. So when you are doing studies to monitor where the drug is going, you can radio label it. We have also used what is called chelating compounds, which chelate things like gadolinium. Why do you need to chelate a gadolinium? Is because gadolinium is an MRI contrast agent. So if you have a gadolinium attached to this molecule, when you introduce this molecule, you can find out exactly where it is going and whether it is going to the tumor or it is spread in the rest of the body. So you can basically tailor make this molecule exactly as you need it. I promise you, this is the only slide which has some chemistry written in it, and I kept it because students need to see it. So there is a methacrylyl chloride which is present, which is attached either to a dipeptide, a tetrapeptide, or whatever molecule. A Schotten-Baumann reaction takes place where a hydrochloric acid is released by these two molecules, which is arrested by sodium hydroxide to form this monomer unit. So you can make any of the monomer units as you desire with this kind of a reaction. And once you have these monomeric units, you can choose the ratio in which you want each of your units. Maybe 80% is HPMA, maybe 5% drug, maybe 1% targeting agent, maybe 0.5% of an imaging agent. Whatever you want, you can do that. Cook it with a free radical activator. When you cook it, basically what comes out is a polymer, and you can characterize it. How you characterize it is that when you have a monomer, you basically do it with what is called an NMR spectroscopy. You can do an NMR, and there you can identify that this product has formed, and you can do a mass spectrometry, and molecule has a molecular weight of 143. So there is a peak at 144, which is because it is a positive ion mode. And in the positive ion mode, it gives a M+1 peak. So 144 shows that you have formed the product. And there is a M+23, which is a molecule plus a sodium. So these two peaks essentially show that you have perfectly made your monomeric unit. You also characterize this using other methods that we have shown here, that the drug that we had made, which was docetaxel, that it is not released as soon as it is administered, because if it doesn't stay on a prolonged basis, there is no use of it. You have to slowly release the drug and continue to feed the tumor so that it gets killed. So what happens is that we have been able to show that in 8 hours time, docetaxel was released about 10%, and over a period of 24 hours, only between 15 to 20% of the drug was released. So if we had gone longer, we would have shown that for a prolonged period of time, drug was released and it continued to kill the tumor. We also check for the pH stability. We do some in vitro experiments to see the activity of these polymers. When we do some in vivo study, where a mice has 2 tumors, we injected them with these polymers, which is HPMA containing docetaxel. One set of large, one set of small. We did some experiments with docetaxel alone and one with a targeting molecule. When we did this, the best results that we got, if you look at this graph, I don't know, can you all see the cursor that I'm moving? Can somebody tell me? You can see the cursor that I'm moving? Pradyut, Tapas, can you tell me? Can you see this cursor that I'm moving? That's okay. So what happens is that if you see this yellow line, which happens to be the polymer containing the docetaxel and RGDFK, we see that the tumor size goes on progressively decreasing. And this is just one injection of the drug. There was just one injection of the drug, and this tumor was measured after 30 days. In a typical chemotherapy, you would probably get a second injection every 10 days or every 7 days or whatever. And we can make the tumor disappear because of this. So we have been able to see that these drugs, these macromolecules work very well. Now I'll show you an MRI, which we have taken. This is a 3-second MRI, which I think is very, very fascinating. And I'll explain to you what is happening here. We have stitched thousands of images to make it like a movie, but this is essentially an MRI of a rat which was injected to the tail vein with an MRI contrast agent. Okay, once it was injected, the whole body was full of this macromolecule. But this image that I'm showing you is a 4-hour image. After 4 hours, this image was taken. And what happens is that if you look at it, here, let me show you this. If you look at it, there are 2 kidneys bilaterally. On 2 sides, you can see 2 kidneys where the entire drug which was present in the whole body goes into the kidney and then basically it is eliminated through the bladder. So you see the bladder now at the bottom. Okay. And other than the kidney and the bladder, you don't see mostly anything anywhere except here. So these were the two kidneys. This is the bladder, but this was the tumor. So if you see that over a period of time, the entire drug leaves the rest of the body, but what is present in the tumor accumulates. We have been able to show this MRI was at 4-hour time point, but we have shown it over 24-hour time point and 7-day time point that the drug still remains there. So with an MRI contrast agent, we were able to show that the drug particularly targets the cancer and then kills the cancer. So this we can visually see drug actually acting on human, this is in mice, but these are the same way it is used elsewhere. I hope you can appreciate that. The next is, I'll give you a short example of an inorganic nanoparticle. And here I describe gold nanoparticle. We can have gold nanoparticle, we can have silver nanoparticle, we have silica nanoparticle. We have different kinds of nanoparticles. But here I'm describing a gold nanoparticle, which we were using for treatment of cancer. And that, if you look at it, gold has a golden, metallic gold has a golden color. But when it is made into a nanoparticle, it loses its golden color, but it has a certain dimension. And depending on the dimension and concentration of the gold nanoparticle, it gives you different colors. So if you think of stained glass structures in old buildings and church and all these things, the stained glass that you see were all made through generations using nanoparticles. They had the technology to make nanoparticles even then, and they could change the colors by changing the shape of the nanoparticle as well as the concentration of the nanoparticle. So these are all gold solution, but they don't necessarily look golden in color. So depending on their size, if we can make it of a specific size, these particles are 70 nanometers long. So we had made some nanoparticles which were about 45 nanometers long, which had a wavelength which is called the surface plasmon resonance. What happens is that the light's wavelength and the size of the nanoparticle are very, very close. So what happens is that because of the surface plasmon resonance, the molecules vibrate, and that's exactly why you see different colors, different wavelengths. So you see different colors. Because these vibrate, what happens is that we use this technology wherein what we did was we had bilateral tumors in a mice where we injected it with this polymer. And then when this polymer or this gold nanoparticle, and when this gold nanoparticle accumulated, we irradiated one of the tumor, not both the tumors. Okay, and we had a thermometer placed in these tumors, and we allowed the temperature to increase from 37 degree to 43 degree. Now this could have increased to infinity, to 100 degree if we had allowed it, but we didn't want it to blister. We only wanted the temperature to rise. So when the temperature rose, we saw that when we irradiated this laser light to a mice which did not get gold nanoparticles and irradiated with the same laser, it did not affect the skin. But when we had gold nanoparticles present in it, because of selective accumulation in the tumor, what happened is that when we irradiated with that specific wavelength, the tumor got heated. That heating of the tumor essentially increased the bioavailability of a lot of drugs and other things which were present. And therefore we could, some scientists have also actually increased the temperature even more and completely obliterated the tumor. But obliterating the tumor is a very bad idea, because what happens is that it can basically go into the rest of the body and metastasize. So it is never a good idea to obliterate the tumor. You should just allow more drugs to enter and kill it through the process of apoptosis. So this is essential. These are all part of my own work, our own work in our laboratory, and we have different publications, and this is a small set of publications that I have done on this. There are a lot of patents also in this area, but I would conclude here by thanking some of my co-workers, including Hamid Gandhari, Adam Gromley. Adam now is faculty at NJIT. He was my student. Nate Larson, Khalid Gresh, and Brendan Buckway. These were my colleagues, and we did the entire work in collaboration with all of these people. I'll end my talk now and allow all the students to ask whatever question they want to. Priyabrata, is anybody ready to ask questions? I'm done with the presentation.
Principal, Dr. Ranjit Sethi.
Hello, sir. Actually, this nanoparticles for treatment of the cancer, is it in research area, or is it really using for the curing the cancer?
It is being, madam, it is being used for curing cancer. It is being used for treatment of cancer. This nanoparticle, like for instance, I gave you this example right at the beginning. Let me go back to that slide. So Doxil is now used for ovarian cancer treatment. It is already in the clinic. Okay, it is an approved drug. Abraxane, which is a nanoparticle of paclitaxel covered with albumin, and this molecule is being used for breast cancer. In fact, I have done clinical trials on this, and I have published papers on this drug for the treatment of breast cancer. So many of these, and then of course, nanoparticle, as I said, the vaccine, the mRNA vaccine produced by Pfizer and Moderna are all made through this nanotechnology platform.
Okay, sir. So is it available in India in any place?
Whether it is available in India, I know the vaccines are not yet approved in India, the Moderna and Pfizer. I would imagine Doxil might be available, but I don't know for sure. Maybe Tata Memorial uses it or some other center uses it, but these are approved, FDA approved drugs, and is being used in the clinic in the United States.
Okay, by using this technology, that there might not necessary for any operation method for the cancer treatment.
So, madam, that's a very, very good question. What happens is that there is a whole lot of community amongst doctors who debate as to whether, like for instance, I'll give you an example of breast cancer. There are a lot of doctors who believe that not surgically removing the cancer essentially allows the cancer to be killed by a process which is called apoptosis. So the cancer cell dies within itself and therefore does not metastasize. When you take the tumor out, there is always a chance that there is a margin where some tumor remains in the body, and that can slowly migrate into the rest of the body. And that becomes a very dangerous situation. So, and of course, if you surgically remove it, this process of EPR effect, where it is a macromolecule is a tumor is necessary to feed it into the feed the drug. If there is no tumor, then you will not be able to use the EPR effect, and therefore that becomes a different challenge. And I don't think I am addressing that challenge right at this moment. But these processes are non-surgical.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Dr. Ray, some more questions our students are going to ask. So
yeah,
I'm
sure.
going to the microphone to our students.
Sure.
Good morning, sir. Sir,
Hi.
myself, Monisha Maharana, of 6th semester of this college. Sir, please give some advices like how I can use my career in nanotechnology.
Sorry, how I can improve my what was the question? Can you repeat that, please?
How can I pursue my career in nanotechnology?
Oh, that's not hard. That's not hard at all. What you have to do is study a little. Study a little. So I can tell you exactly where I came from. Okay. So I was a student like you in one of the colleges. And what I did was I finished my BSc and then entered Utkal University for an MSc. While I was finishing my MSc, I took the, you have this JRF examination, Senior Research Fellow by a UGC CSIR. You basically take that examination and qualify for a national scholarship. Once you get a national scholarship, you can do your PhD in maybe in Delhi University or Indian Institute of Science or any of these universities. While you're doing your PhD, either you can take a GRE and come to Pradyot Babu's institution to pursue your PhD, or you finish your PhD and then come as a postdoctoral fellow and continue with nanotechnology. So it's not hard. All you have to do is work hard and study, make your fundamentals right. Because our courses in Odisha for both BSc and MSc is fantastic. If you pursue that and read, then you will do well, and you can come anywhere you want to.
Thank you, sir, for your advice.
No problem.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
My name is Madhukar Nanda. I am a final year student from chemistry. Sir, my question is, how can we take advantage of this nanotechnology?
So I'll tell you something. I just concentrated on the area of drug delivery. Okay, and I think Tapas Babu is also going to speak on this area, so you will be exposed to a little more of the nanotechnology, drug delivery. Then Pradyot Babu tomorrow is going to speak about environmental sciences. And I would believe, he can correct me because I don't know that field very well, but my belief is, why are these environmental toxins present? Because it is the same filtration of the kidney which is responsible when there is a large molecule which is being ingested by the body, it is not getting cleared out by the body. And since it is not being cleared, it stays in the body and becomes very toxic. So there are various fields of nanotechnology. Drug delivery is not the only one. It is used in electronics, it is used in paints. You'd be surprised to know that even weaving industry, your masks that you're using, some people put copper nanoparticle there. Copper nanoparticles are antibacterial and antiviral, and therefore they are supposed to be better. People line industrial floors with silver nanoparticle because silver nanoparticle is antibacterial. So when they want it to be a sterile area, they use silver nanoparticle. So basically, do not bother about different fields. All you do, my only advice is that your BSc and your MSc, make sure you study everything. I don't know what books you follow. We used to follow a book called Behel and Behel. And then later on, we had a book in MSc called Jerry March for organic chemistry. I had read cover to cover of these two books, and I didn't read too much after that, I can assure you. But once you read these two books cover to cover, you've got your fundamentals right. And once you have your fundamentals right, you can do anything you want to when you're pursuing a career in chemistry.
Okay, sir. My next question is, can we use this nanotechnology for knowing the breast cancer causing cells in their earlier stage? Can we detect them early?
Yes, a lot of work is being done on imaging. So the MRI that I showed you, basically what happens is that when the tumor gets to a certain size, an MRI contrast agent can be fed into that, but typically it is not used as much in imaging, because what happens is that this gadolinium molecule, which is used as an MRI contrast agent, has a certain degree of nephrotoxicity, which is toxicity of the kidney. But there are other fields of nanotechnology where extremely small quantities of your antibody can be detected using nanotechnology, whether it is breast cancer, whether it is prostate cancer, whether it is whatever be it. a lot of fields are using nanotechnology for detection purposes. Yes. So the answer is yes, you can.
Okay, thank you, sir. And my last question will be about the COVID vaccine. That I think one of the presentations showed that the fragile mRNA particles can enter the cells upon their own. So please.
So I missed the last part of your, they can enter the cell. After that, I missed your question. Can you repeat? Can you repeat the question, please? Can you all hear me? Or I can't hear anybody. Can you hear me? I cannot hear anyone.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe at the college it froze.
Yes, I said. Maybe. The video is also get started.
Yeah, the video froze. So I couldn't hear the lady's question. Yeah, are you all there? I cannot hear your question. So if you have, can you repeat the question, please? I still cannot. Maybe they're trying to reconnect, is it?
Yes, I also, I guess too.
Yeah, they're probably trying to reconnect because I cannot hear.
Me too. Okay, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. So you people are going to speak.
Yeah,
I'm going to drink my tea.
Okay. It's 12 o'clock, 12 night?
For me, it's not that late. It is 10:30, 10:45.
Nice. Okay.
But Pradyut Babu, it's
12.
almost 1 o'clock.
12:30, yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll be in touch after this.
Of course. But I'm telling you, this research that I showed you
Yes.
was things that I had done in the past. The last work I did was 2013.
Hello, Dr. Deng. Am
Yeah.
I audible?
Yes, now it's
Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let me hand over the microphone to the student who is asking questions to you.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you for this session.
Any online participants who asked any questions? Okay. Now I'm handing over the microphone to our senior leader in chemistry of this department, Dr. Pranav Kishore Mohanty, to offer vote of thanks.
Good morning to all. Respected Chief Patron of webinar, our principal, Dr. Ramjita Sethi, convener, our head of the department, Dr. Arjuna Sapati, organizing secretary, Priyamoto Mohanty, and Dr. P.C. Vaisai, and other participants present offline and online. We are very grateful to Dr. Abhijit Ray, the eminent speaker of today's conference. In spite of his busy schedule, Dr. Rai has spent his valuable time with us and students of our college. We came to know the advanced technology related to nanotechnology and nanoparticles. I think the presentation by Dr. Ray will be helpful for all of us present here. I thank you, sir, on behalf of our chemistry department of Pranath College, Khurda. We are also obliged to our principal, Dr. Ramjita Sethi, for her able leadership for the arrangement of webinar today. She has guided and inspired us very much. I also thank all the participants, both off and online, for participating in this webinar. Lastly, I cannot forget to thank all members of our department who have helped us in arranging this webinar. So finally, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. Thanks
Thank you.
for your presentation and giving us time, even though it is very late in USA. Thanks for being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's have a 5 minutes break. Let me tea break here. Dr. Tapas Nandini Jartik for us will very soon start this technical session too. After 5 minutes break. Okay. The break is over. Now the technical session to going to start very soon. So I request Dr. B.C. Paisa, the senior leader of chemistry of our department, to introduce Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan from South Korea.
Good morning to all. I have to introduce Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan, who was my student from 2001 to 2006. He hails from a remote village of Talcher, Odisha. After completing MSc from Ravenshaw University in 2008 in organic chemistry, he joined the National Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad for his 2008. After getting the PhD degree, he pursued the postdoctoral fellowship at Busan National University, Busan, South Korea, and now he is working after completion of the postdoctoral fellowship. Now he is continuing as the research professor in Busan National University, Busan, South Korea. I welcome him to the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapas. Continue.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Shall I start?
Over to Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Now you can go
Actually,
on.
one request is that the screen, the previous speaker that's shown here, have to disabled. Otherwise, I can't share my screen.
Please speak loudly. Your voice is not properly audible.
Actually, the screen that has been shared before by the previous speaker, it should be disabled. Otherwise, I can't share. Yes, yes.
Okay. Dr. Ray, are you there?
Dr. Ray probably absent.
Dr. Ray, am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, I'm there. Sorry.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I just stepped out.
Dr. Ray, please disable your screen.
Yeah, sorry. I just stepped out.
It's too late.
No, I'll sit with your lecture also.
No, it's too late. It's okay.
So who was calling me?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan, you can continue. And just introduce yourself as demanded by your teacher, Dr. P.C. Baisak.
Yes. So let me start. First of all, my sincere greetings to all of the dignitaries and the audience over here in the webinar. And it's a great pleasure and honor to be part of this international webinars held on behalf of the PNE College, Khordha. First of all, I would like to thank the members of the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to be here and to present some of my research work. And the research work that I'm going to present today here in front of you has been done in the past few years. Probably I'll talk about the research work in my PhD careers. And
sorry for interruption, Dr. Pradhan.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Can you share your screen? Is it possible on a podcast?
One second. Sure. You can. It's still showing that I can't share the screen while other participant is sharing. So I can't share maybe because already one screen is shared.
So that previous screen is already on the screen.
Yes.
I think I have to
yes.
do it.
Yes. One second. Maybe now I can.
Yes, Dr. Repli,
it's fine now.
I
hope it's fine. Yes. I hope it's visible now. My screen. No. Okay. Already I shared. Yes.
I think the Department of Chemistry is the host now. They have to share it.
Yes, they have to. Yes, but already I shared from my side. But the status is showing it is still sharing. The screen is still going on. I mean, sharing is going on. I don't know how to, maybe your screen sharing.
Is it okay now, Dr. Pradhan?
Yes, already I have shared my screen. But whether it is visible to you or not, I'm not sure.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes. So shall I start now? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Anyone? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. So let me start. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And today I am going to discuss about reaction discoveries. That is a must-do research aspect for organic synthesis. Actually, this research topic I chosen from my past years research experience during my PhD, and the research experience means it also includes the failure. It includes the failures that's led to me the new research area of new reaction discovery. So with these few words, I'm gonna do frankly speaking that this is the title as obtained after my failures. When I started my research career as organic chemistry, that is my PhD research career as organic chemistry in Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad, I had chosen the most challenging research area, that is the natural product synthesis. And the inspiration to develop the new reactions stems from these failures that I came across during the last part of my research careers, PhD research careers. And today I am going to present that research topic, followed by some switch to a new research area to discovery of a new reactions or new reaction strategy. I'll give an examples on this, and one of my paper only I will show you because of the time limit. And in organic chemistry, we always debate that new reaction discovery and research methodology. When you will go to the high research levels, the research methodology is totally different from a new reaction discovery. However, when this term consists of into a basic research levels, means into the textbook organic chemistry, we can say they are both almost similar. Research methodology and new reaction discovery is almost similar. For example, let me give one example is that based on my research topic is hydration reactions. Suppose hydration reactions, it's a simple reactions of a carbon-carbon unsaturated molecules, where we can add water molecule across the carbon-carbon double bonds in selective manner. Selective manner means if you study organic chemistry more and more to the MSc levels, then you can understand what is the radioselective reactions And let me talk about regioselective reactions because for easier understanding for my next research topic of discussion. Regioselective reaction. Regio means it is the place where the functional group will go. Suppose you will do a hydration reactions, where the water molecule will go. Hydration reaction means the addition of H and OH unit across a carbon-carbon double bond or a carbon-carbon triple bond. If it will go to a carbon-carbon double bond, it will form a hydroxyl compound, means alcoholic compound. It may be a primary and secondary alcohols. And if it adds to a alkyne, means carbon-carbon triple bond, it will give a keto compounds. So depending upon the stereostructures or the position of the different groups attached to the carbon-carbon double bond or triple bonds, then the water molecule will go accordingly. So on this topic, we'll discuss on the regioselective reaction of hydroxyalkynoid or acetoxyalkynoids, how I could able to tackle the problem for regioselectively hydrate the alkyne unsymmetrical carbon-carbon triple bonds. Then before going to that, these are some of the molecules that I shown in my first slides, where I involved in the synthesis of these molecules by using different concepts. So few of these I'm going to discuss. So before going to that, I will talk about a natural product synthesis. What is a natural product synthesis? And before that, these are some of the glimpses of my research works. I involved in the study of natural product synthesis like amphetamine lactone and aspergillite V, and also a cytotoxic macrolide minus apicoline A. The third one today I'm going to discuss. The previous two ones, though they are little old, I prefer these topics because it's quite related, and it's really is the final one. This one is really the inspiration of my research on new reaction discovery. And these are some of my research works developed in the PhD work as a research methodology part. Here I develop a hydration reactions of unsymmetrical alkynes to get these valuable functionalized ketoesters. And I also involved on this concept. I also involved the work on this concept to have such type of structural units. And then here are some of the postdoctoral work where I used the carbon-carbon unsaturated system. This is the alanic skeleton to have enine systems. You can find the difference here. These enine systems, here alkyne adds to the central carbon, and here alkynes adds to the central terminal carbon by simply changing the ligand, phosphine ligands. Here, just if you look into the scheme here, it is just simply by changing the reagent, but there is a different mechanism proceeding to have these such type of products. And if you go to our paper, which has been recently published in 2018 in Enzymatic Chemistry, you'll find the mechanism of these reactions. This is a perfect example, as I showed you, is a regioselective reaction. Means alkyne is either going to this central carbon or going to this terminal carbon to have this product and this product respectively. And by simply harnessing these electronic properties of these enine units, I have published one more paper, which is published in Organic Letter, which describes the coupling of indoles with enines to have a divergent product. Here we have 8-membered rings, azipine structures, which are very, very good pharmaceutical properties. Here is also indolin moiety and dinyl tether indolin moiety. So these are the few of the glimpses of my research works. So I will gonna to describe why we'll do natural product synthesis. Before that, I will describe what is a natural product. As you know, a natural product is simply a compound which can be produced by living organism found in nature. Generally, large number of currently prescribed drugs have been either directly derived or inspired by nature to have a pharmaceutical drugs and come to the industry and all comes to the chemical our societies. Here is an example. You might have heard about the drugs aspirin. Aspirin is the acetyl derivative of salicylic acids, and these salicylic acids can be directly extracted from willow bark by some chemoenzymatic process. But nowadays, because the limitations of because we need a very huge amount of the bark trees to have a very little dose of this aspirin drugs. So nowadays people choose chemical synthesis to have these products in a very economical synthetic way. There are some other natural product derived here also. An example, the morphine. Morphine is a narcotic component of opium. You know, you might have heard of this. Penicillin, it's the first antibiotic derived from penicillium, and paclitaxel. It's a very complex natural product, as Professor Ray described. That is a chemotherapeutic drug. So I mean to show these slides because these chemotherapeutic drugs have been employed in many treatment of many cancer diseases. So what is the natural product synthesis and why we'll do this natural product synthesis? The natural product synthesis can be done by two means, either by semi-synthesis or a total synthesis, and had played a critical role in development of organic chemistry by providing challenging synthetic targets. So semi-synthesis, it's mean a partial synthesis. And why we'll do? Because when you see the process of isolation is costly in terms of committed time and the material experience, I mean economically, then we do the total synthesis. For example, you just see the yew tree, the Taxus barbiflus, would have been harvested to extract enough paclitaxel for just a single dose of therapy. So it is very difficult for the structure-activity relationship to get it from the natural sources. Thereby, what the chemistries will do is that they will do in a plan in a chemical synthetic pathway to have this product for structure-activity relationship. In such cases, when the ultimate goal is harder to come or limits the structure-activity relationship, it is sometimes impossible to source middle to late stage functionalization. That means we don't need the total structure of the molecules. Instead, we need to synthesize some core or some part of the molecules which are very essential for the drug delivery systems. And this pathway is called as partial synthesis or semi-synthesis. Another concern is the tedious purification technique. The natural product sources, whatever we'll get drugs from the natural product sources, may or may not be pure. For that, we need a very tedious purification techniques. Even after a long purification techniques or many purification, it's very impossible. It is harder to get. It's not impossible. It's harder to get the purified compound. For this, we must need a chemical synthesis approach. So these are all about the introduction part. Why we'll do natural product synthesis, what is a natural product synthesis, and now I am going to talk about the total synthesis disadvantage. Though there is disadvantages of the chemical synthesis, but this is the complex molecules are very less easily and cost effectively prepared by complex synthesis from readily available and simple ingredients by a process called total synthesis, as I discussed above. In general, you can say the total synthesis of natural product is a non-economical research activities. It's particularly aimed at the understanding of the synthesis of particular natural product frameworks, which can be used for the structure-activity relationship. In addition, the natural products prepared by organic synthesis have played a central role in the development of organic chemistry. And this led to the development of many new reaction discoveries, starting from a simple aldol reactions. Aldol reaction is just a coupling of you might know two carbonyl compounds to give a hydroxyaldehyde product. That's why the name aldol reaction, and thereby leading to the more new reaction discoveries such as Fischer dihydroxylation, the surplus epoxidation, and some metal catalyzed cross coupling reaction, recently termed as Suzuki-Miura cross coupling reactions. So on the basis of this, first I'll go to my part A of my research topics here, the discussion about the macrolide minus apiculirine A, which is a 12-member macrolide. It's a powerful inhibitor of human cancer cell lines as well as multi-drug resistance line KB50 cells with ICP value ranging with 0.3 to 3 nanogram cells. It also shows anti-genosis properties with potent anti-tumor activity and induces apoptosis and act as a novel specific BTP as inhibitor. Then why I have chosen these molecules for target of synthesis is that here you can see there are many approaches besides our approach. However, you found there are some disadvantages of their methods to construct the pyran core here, the oxygenated 6-member cycle cures, and somewhere they use some other some base-mediated annulation approach to construct the cyclopyran ring, which is limited for sensitive substrates like inolyzable substrates. And some Professor Phoenix and D. Brabander's research group also contribute to the chemical society, the synthesis of minus apiculary Ne via heterodiol alter reactions. However, the yield of their reactions restricts for a scalable synthesis. If you consider in a pharmaceutical basis, it's very tough job to have this in a good amount. Similarly, some oxymercuration and demercuration strategy employed by the UNICE research groups also have some limitations because the toxic mercury salts here they used cannot be employed in a pharmaceutical scales. So in comparison with this approach, we came up a new idea, which is shown here. New idea means here it is the retrosynthetic analysis. Retrosynthetic means it is the reverse way of synthesis. First, you have to plan your synthesis. Then, accordingly to your plan, you have to carry out the reaction for your target. Here, we thought to install this hydroxy group by a hydrogenolysis process of this by breaking these CO bond reactions, and this macrolide core could be synthesized by intramolecular. There is a name reaction called Yamaguchi esterification reaction, which is nothing but a coupling of hydroxy and carboxylic acid compound. It is intramolecular because it is within the molecules. Then we thought of to install this aromatic core of these macrolides by intermolecular dialysal reactions. Intramolecular means two molecules will combine separately, not inside the molecules. Two different molecules will combine. Then the next plan was that to construct this bicyclic ether core, which was a very challenging part in the previous research and yet unprecedented to our knowledge. And we thought of for a Triggs iodocyclization strategy, which has been developed by our laboratory. And this iodocyclization strategy has been developed by our laboratory, and we have employed in many selective reactions, in many synthesis of many pharmaceutical drugs, and which in turn could be synthesized from a simple precursors like this here. It's a glycidol containing epoxide ring, which can be functionalized in various way. I'll show you the synthetic scheme. That first, the epoxide will be opened by a nucleophile, alkyl nucleophile, to have this hydroxy compound, which underwent the deproduction to have this diol compound. The diol compound is underwent a selective reduction. Selective reduction means in presence of alkynes, if you do a reduction reaction using different strategy like hydrogenation and other strategy, you will end up with the saturated molecules or sometimes unsaturated molecules. But this selective reduction is based on this functional group attached to this substrate, that is the hydroxyl group. When this is a radal, it is aluminum complex, which is complex with the aluminum, complex with the hydroxyl moiety of the substrate to have this selective partial reduction, you can say, because triple bond is partially reduced to double bond. If it is fully reduced, then we will get a saturated bonds. Then again, another selective reaction was performed. We have a two similar functionality. We have a primary OH and a secondary OH functionalities. The main task is to selectively oxidize to another functionality. As you know, primary hydroxy is more facile for oxidation. We tried this tempo-behavior methods to have this product, hydroxyaldehydes. With these hydroxyaldehydes, we followed our iodocyclization. This is the cyclization process we developed in our laboratory while I was doing in PhD. Under Mahapatha's research group, we developed this group to have. Then with this in hand, we got this in successfully. We synthesized this successfully, and with this in hand, we synthesized these structures with a 34% isolated yields. And as I said, natural product synthesis is, though it's reliable, but it's still tedious because the number of steps involved in this. We will end up with if you will start, suppose for example 100 grams of the starting material, you may end up with a 1 gram of or less than 1 gram even, which is very hard job to carry out the research under natural product synthesis. So let's leave with that measure isomers. Then I proceeded some other reactions that I'm not going to discuss here. Just simply the measure isomer was taken, previously synthesized for the next steps to have these hydroxyalkynoids. These hydroxyalkynoids again undergo iodocyclization to build this complex bicyclic ether cores. This complex bicyclic ether cores can also be synthesized from asymmetric alkynylation strategy to produce this product in 93% yield. However, the racemic mixture when tried, racemic mixture means when we tried the both enantiomeric mixtures, plus and minus, R or S, we got only less than 53% yield, means almost 56% yield of 65A and the 25A, which is not required. Thus, we follow this asymmetric strategy to have this product in 93%. This is a very important steps we have to follow in natural product synthesis. Otherwise, we may end with a very less amount of the product, which will not be useful. So with that bicyclic ether, again, we next move forward our next steps, for which we followed a tin hydride reduction reactions, means where the iodo group will reduce to the hydrogen groups, and to have this bicyclic cores. And this bicyclic core will undergo the Diels-Alder reactions to introduce the aromatic moiety. The aromatic moiety undergo then sequence of reactions to have this bicyclic core. Now, the final step is to cleavage this CO bond to achieve the total synthesis of minus apiculary A. However, we end up with a failure result, means unproductive result, even after this success, even after these trials. You can see here, we tried various conditions, even 15 different conditions at the final stage of these molecules, but we ended up at neither of the conditions provided the desired product. So we ended up with an unproductive result, but still, I said you, for structure activity relation studies, still it's useful. If you are using analogous, which is related to the total natural product, it's still useful because we can expedite in more amount in laboratory scales. So with this, I can conclude the first topic, first part of my research, that it is I involved it's a 11-step synthetic sequence from a known starting intermediate, and the bicyclic core has been successfully synthesized by our own developed strategy, that is our iodocyclation strategy. And there are many different reactions we used, that Keck-Moore coagulation, Diels-Alder reaction, and Yamaguchi esterification to obtain the macrolactam core of the natural product. However, unfortunately, we didn't able to install the C11 hydroxychiral center under different hydrolytic conditions. But still, this unproductive result we could able to publish in organic biomolecular chemistry journals. With this, I will go to, with this failure, I thought of to discover why we will not discover any reaction methods that will be utilized to circumvent this type of problems. Then I thought of for a simple ideas that I could synthesize a very beautiful reaction intermediate, that is beta keto ester, which has been employed in many further synthetic sequence to have many heterocyclic and carbocyclic structures. Because this keto ester, as you can see, you have a 2 electrophilic carbonyl of different electrophilic properties. Besides that, there is a central carbon, that is the flanked carbon is nucleophilic. So we can functionalize further. That's why people will always choose to synthesize this type of substance. However, the major challenge is that, as you can see, this is a nucleophile, nucleophilic sites. We can introduce an electrophile easily. However, we can't introduce a nucleophile at either of this carbon because this is an electrophile site. We can't introduce nucleophiles. So for that, the major challenge for that, we thought of that whether previously we can take a nucleophilic functional group on this type of alkynoid, and by simply, if you hydrate radioselectively to have this product. Thus, we thought of some literature surveys. When we went to some literature survey, we found, unfortunately, we found there is similar type of reactivity of alkynoid substrate to have these hydration products. However, we found that they didn't employ any unfunctionalized keto ester to have such reactions in presence of catalyst. This prompted us to pursue furthermore research. When we again researched some gold catalyzed reaction methods of hydroxyalkynoid derivatives, we also found some research articles which is based on the synthesis of oxygen heterocycles, not beta heterocycles. These both the papers published in Jack's paper. So we attempt the hydration reaction of a similar type of substrates with the gold catalyst. However, we could not able to tackle the problem because we tried some different conditions using different gold catalyst, but we could not able to get the product. We reasoned that why the such inhibition occurred. We reasoned that the hydroxyl group might chelate to the gold catalyst, which simultaneously chelate to the alkyne moiety to have reactions like this. This is a very, this in organic chemistry we call it as propargylic substitution. That means you have a competing nucleophile like water to hydrate. Nucleophile itself will go to this carbon to have the starting material regain without causing any hydration reactions. Thus, we thought to protect, bias the hydroxyl functionality in presence of by making it acetate. When we surveyed again literature on acetate directing groups on gold catalyzed hydration reaction, we found very less report, and we came up to this idea that the acetoxy group will migrate to the alkyne gold coordinated alkyne species, where the water will attack to the carbonyl of the acetyl group to overall affect the hydration reactions. Thus, we try this substrate to optimize the reaction condition and or to get a better reaction condition. We tried different various gold catalyst and other metal catalyst. You can see here from the table that after many trials, we found a gold catalyst would be able to give a 96% of the hydration product. And when we use the gold catalyst without any silver catalyst, we call it as co-catalyst, we found no reactions almost. And when you use only silver catalyst, that means without the main catalyst, AU catalyst, we didn't found many, means much of the desired product, only 32% of the desired product was isolated. So thus from its table, it's clear that we need a gold catalyst in combination with the silver catalyst to affect the hydration reactions. So in natural product synthesis, we always follow the synthesis of many substrate derivatives. For that, to generalize this idea, we thought of to derivatize many of the derived products, like here phenyl derivatives and other substrate derived for applicability in natural product synthesis. And also it is important to notice the functional group tolerability. How much functional group tolerability is your reaction? It's a compulsory test we need. That's why we tried the propargylic substrate and the silyl ether substrates and mom ether substrate, which are the frequently used substrates in organic chemistry. And we found that all substrates survived well without causing any without hampering the functional group reliability. And in all cases, we found almost 95%, up to 95% yield of the product yield. Then we tried some other substrate derivatives, as you can see here, and in all cases, we found a good yield of the product. Then we modified the directing group, whether only acetate group will work in this such type of reactions, or acetate groups only will direct such type of reaction. We tried some other directing group like 5-haloyl, benzoyl, and propionyl groups. And fortunately, we found in all cases, in most all cases, we found the product. However, the directing group like OCOG2 here, I mentioned, it is a bulkier directing. Because of the bulkiness, steric effect, we could not able to get also, when the ester group is hello. So when this type of substrate we tried, we also have the product. Then we tried to utilize some other alkyne substrate, other unsymmetrical different ester moieties. And in all cases, it's our fortunate to have this product. However, the amide group and acetate groups and free hydroxyl group, there is a problem to have the hydration product. Similarly, other reactions with aliphatic alkyl groups didn't have reaction. This indicates that we must need a ester group to have such reactions. And we must need a directing group like O-acyl group or OCO benzoate group to have these reactions. If we go to the mechanism, you can completely understand what is the necessity of this acyl group, what is the necessity of the tertiary butyl ester group or any ester groups to have such radioselective hydration reaction. I will discuss after two more slides. It will come. So then we again study the effect of some other functional group. As you can see here, if you have a double bonds nearby to the reaction center, it doesn't undergo any reactions. However, alkyne moiety and the epoxide moiety did not hamper the reaction yield. In all cases, we have almost synthetically acceptable yield. The reason we proposed here is that why we obtain a 0% reactivity of enantiomer of the substrates bearing the alkyne unit. When you reviewed some literature, there is some literature report based on literature report on these enantiomer, where gold catalysts have been utilized to synthesize the cyclopentadiene moiety. And this rearrangement in gold catalyst chemistry called as Rautenstrauch rearrangement, where the double bond will migrate to the nearby chelating center to have this mineralization product, that is cyclopentadiene. We reason this probably, we reason that this probably might be the cause of difference to have the product from this inert moiety. However, we could able to synthesize the epoxy bearing, means retention of functionalities of the epoxide unit. When you read again some literature that alkynoids in presence of a gold catalyst giving a furan moiety. However, in our case, it proceeds with the retention of chirality. This is a very challenging aspect prior to our research. The reason for such ring formation is that here you can see the difference. They used a gold 3 catalyst, but we used only a gold 1 catalyst. Gold 3 catalyst, as it has donated its 3 electrons, it is more electrophilic. When you have a chelating substrate like epoxides, then it will easily chelate because it is more electrophilic, chelate to the epoxide to give these furan compounds. But in our case, when you will use a gold 1 catalyst, which is less electrophilic than a gold 3 catalyst, it will chelate only to the alkyne moiety. And if you have a neighboring group like acetyl group, it will easily migrate to have our hydration products. So then we thought of to again generalize the scope of our reactions for enantiomerically rich substrate. So thus we took that also challenge. We prepared a gram scale synthesis of this enantiomeric substrates to have the chiral acetoxy beta keto esters in 94% yield. Again, we modified some natural products by taking some natural resources product. We modified this for structure activity relation studies, which is still undergoing. We can see the cholesterol moiety, very big complex structure, can also be modified in almost 86%. So with this, we thought or only the ester group is responsible for this reaction. Then we studied the mechanistic pathway, how the reaction is proceeding by using the isotope leveling experiment, by using your water 18 and D2 experiments. So the regular reaction pathway is here. That, as you know, the gold metallic space is always electrophile. It is a very good pi activator. That's why it activates the alkyne moiety, and water simply attacks to this beta carbon to have this product. This is the general pathway of hydration reactions. But this is not the case for our case. When we tried the isotope experiment using water 18, we didn't found this type of products. So what we found is that here, that it is not the general pathway. Simply alkyne will coordinate to the gold, which will facilitate the hydration reactions. We proposed a path B from this experiment, from this mechanistic experiment, that the gold one will coordinate to the alkyne as do in a normal way. Then the acetate group will migrate to the alkyne. Instead of water will attack here. You can see the acetate group will attack here, followed by the water attack to give this hydration product. How to prove that whether water is attacking here or water is directly going to the alkyne carbon? So taking these two products, we cleaved these acetate functionalities using a scandium triplet. We found that it's fortunate to have to produce a new reaction mechanism to the scientific community. That when we did a hydrolysis reaction of these two, we took separately, independently, we did independent experiment, and when to treat with scandium triplet, we got this product. You can see if this product will hydrolyze, it will give this product. If this product where O18 is already in the carbonyl group cannot give this product. We conclude the formation of this product by high resolution mass spectroscopy, where we didn't observe the O18 isotopic oxygen atoms. This clearly indicates that the reaction is involving the assisted pathway, that is the pathway B. With this, I concluded my part B of the research. We developed a very nice protocols to synthesize the acetoxy beta keto ester derivatives in the aid of your acyloxy assistance chemistry. Though we used a gold catalyzed gold, but though it is still expensive, but we prefer this methodology because we use it in a catalytic amount. Even a simple 2 mole % of the catalyst can favor the required our desired hydration products. With this, I don't have any acknowledgement sites because I have enough helpful hands behind this. I can't express my gratitude to their constant support. Thank you. Thank you. So let's hope some good questions from audience sides.
Question discussion. Participants in online and participants offline mode, you can ask questions to our preeminent speaker, Dr. Tapas Nandan Pradhan. I hand over the microphone to our students who are interested to ask the questions. Just introduce yourself and ask.
Good morning, sir. Sir, my name is Dinesh Kumar. Sir, I want to ask a question about synthesis of the it consists of 4 6-member structures as in case of steroids or human hormones. So how are they synthesized actually? I want to ask about that.
So you are asking about the total synthesis that I shown you, the apiculin part. This one here. Hello. I didn't get your question.
Yes, sir.
I didn't
Sir,
get.
I want to ask about the synthesis of steroids and hormones in the human body. They are basically 4 6-member structures attached.
Yes, that are very challenging aspects. See, even here I shown you the structural analysis means synthesis of Magnus apiculin. It is a 6-member ring, but still see how much difficulties. But still there are new reaction methodologies. Scientists are being discovering new reaction pathways to construct that type of molecules. There are many metal catalyzed reactions or also non-metallic catalytic reactions are there to have the 4-member or 5-member structures in steroid molecules. Steroid molecules are generally really challenging aspects of organic research.
One more question.
Yes.
Sir, can we just change the structure of one part of that molecule? Suppose there are multiple hydroxyl and carbonyl groups. So
yes.
Can we just conduct a reaction with one of the carbonyl groups and keep the other carbonyl and hydroxyl groups on in that?
Yes, yes, that are in organic chemistry we call it as still selective reactions. Yes, chemoselective reactions. If you have a functional group, suppose I shown here. Okay, I'll show you one example. Can you find my slides? Are you getting my slides? Hello? Are you seeing my slides?
No, sir, we can see.
Yes. See here the diol structural unit here. Alkyne, you have a hydroxyl group, you have another hydroxyl group, right? Here I did a reactions of only alkynes, and that to be a partial reduction. You need a perfect reagent for that. For a perfect reagent means the scientist or the researcher always keep on finding this type of reactions, whether we can do a chemoselective reaction or radioselective reactions. See here, only alkyne is reduced to a 2 double bonds, not even it is going for a full reduction. If full reduction will happen, what will happen? You will get a saturated molecule, but which I don't require. I need a double bond. That's why I perform a selective reaction using a radal. Here, what radal will do, this is the aluminum complex. This aluminum will chelate with the hydroxyl group, and it is a hydride donor. And will donate the hydride ion to the alkyne partially to have this partial reduction. And one more example here is all I shown is a selective reactions, chemo or radioselective reactions. See here, you have 2 hydroxyl functionalities, but one hydroxy, primary hydroxy, I functionalize to aldehyde. You know, when hydroxy group will oxidize, it will give aldehyde or acid. You know, maybe. When a free primary alcohol will hydrolyze, it will give a aldehyde or acid. But by using the new concept of reaction methodology, discovery, you can control the reactivity. You can control the at aldehyde stage. Aldehydes are more prone to oxidation because you have a more electrophilic carbonyl group. So if you use this reagent, Tempo BIV, BIV is a hypervalent iodine reagent. It will oxidize only the primary hydroxy group at aldehyde stage, not the secondary hydroxy group. There are also some reagents you can hydrolyze simply the secondary one in presence of a primary one. That is called a chemoselective reactions. Yes, we can do it. Always researchers are keep on finding this type of studies.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you understand. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Is anybody else?
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Sir, myself, Sivan Saul. Sir, my question is, what is the importance of carboxylic group?
What is the importance of sorry,
Carboxylic group
carboxylic acid group?
in drug synthesis?
Sorry, I didn't get. What is the importance of carboxyl group in organic molecules, or hello? What is the importance of carboxyl group? Is it your question?
Yes, sir.
Carboxyl
In
means carboxylic acid group, or you are saying, I don't know, carbonyl or carboxylic acid group. Carboxylic acid group, you know, is a simple group for esterification reactions. You can do a esterification reaction. When acid will add to alcohol, you will get a ester, you know, acid and alcohol. We use generally coupling agent, different EDCI or DCC, different coupling reagent to have acid group. Okay, it will be good to have this example. One second. See here, the drug aspirin, it has a benzoic acid part, that is benzene and carboxylic acid, and acetate part. If we'll protect this benzoic acid, it may or may not active for therapeutic drugs. Acid is important because it will bind to the drug molecule, because it has a hydrophilic properties, hydroxyl group. It will bind to the when it enter into your body systems, it will bind to your different function target of your treatment, and helps in coordination with your protein structures to have a therapeutic treatment. That's why aspirin is so effective, because of a carboxylic acid functionality. And you see here OH group and acetate group. OH group is simply salicylic acid. You know better, because yes. So OH group has not that much effect as aspirin. It is a simple salicylic acid, because it will compete with the chelation of this carboxylic group by hydrogen bonding. If we protect it OH by acetate group, it has no further functionality to chelate with this carboxylic group. That's why aspirin is more biologically active than a salicylic acid. This is one example.
Yes. Hello, sir. Myself is Utkarika Maharathi. My question is that how drugs help in COVID vaccine?
Oh, it's a very difficult task, but whatever means, according to my knowledge, I will share something about the COVID vaccine. You know, the COVID vaccine nowadays, the treatment can be made, temporary treatment can be made by using simple antimalarial drugs, right? See, COVID vaccine is for COVID vaccine, it is a very challenging task. You see, the aspirin and penicillin, the scientist who discovered it, after almost 25 years of discovery, it came into the market as a therapeutic agent. See how much long discovery means. After discovery of suppose 2001, it will take minimum 25, or we may not say our drugs, our synthesized drugs may not be usable for further as a therapeutic agent. So it's a difficult job to have the vaccine, perfect vaccine, or perfect, though vaccine, it is difficult to have a perfect therapeutic agent or pharmaceutical drugs to have the perfect treatment. So is it your question or anything different?
No, Tapas.
Yes, sir.
The thing is that why you are selecting the radioselectivity reactions in preparing of drug synthesis in the drug synthesis process? Why not chemical selectivity? You are talking radioselectivity for the preparation of the drugs.
Radioselectivity.
Radioselectivity. You have told. Why not chemoselectivity?
Yes. So actually, in organic chemistry, radioselectivity means where does the reaction occur? Suppose you have an alkyne group which is unsymmetrical, two different groups attached to alkyne moiety. You have two different types of carbon there. So depending upon the reaction sites, depending upon the reaction conditions, which conditions you are used, if you are able to functionalize selectively, then we call it as radioselective reaction. Chemoselective reactions means when you have a two different functional group and you wish to functionalize only one interacting other reacting molecules, we call it as chemoselective reactions. But these terms in these radioselective and chemoselective term in the drug delivery system, I am not aware of it. I have not studied.
No, you have mentioned in the PhD thesis from
Yes.
your biodata. What I see it is the asymmetric synthesis of organic compound.
Yes.
Please tell something.
Asymmetric synthesis means chiral molecule synthesis. Chiral molecule synthesis means you can see here salicylene. Salicylene have a carbohydrate structure. This pyran hydroxyl containing carbohydrate. They have a chiral center. We call it as if you will achieve the synthesis of this molecule, it will call a asymmetric synthesis. But however, aspirin, you see, there is no such chiral molecules. So if you will achieve this synthesis by any means, it is called means non-symmetric, means it is a simple simple synthesis, not the asymmetric synthesis. Asymmetric means the synthesis of chiral molecules. So in my PhD work, I did almost three works on asymmetric synthesis, 3 molecules that I shown here, aspergillite, apiculirine, and amphitinolactones. It seems challenging.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Professor Radu Prasad Mishra will ask some questions.
Sure.
One question.
Yes, sir.
All the ingredients of all the drugs can be synthesized in the laboratory or they are extracted from the plants?
Yes, all the drugs, that's why we are doing natural. All the drugs cannot be synthesized in the, cannot be derived from the natural product. That are not derived from natural products in an economical way. Suppose if you are extracting, here I have given you one example that the extraction of paclitaxel, it needs a whole bark of trees to extract one dose of your medicines. So if you do in a synthetic way, chemical synthetic process, you can synthesize, or you can end up with a kilogram or even quintal scales. It can be helpful for the societies. So natural product synthesis will do because of the unavailability of the natural sources, unavailability of the agents from the natural sources. I hope I can answer you.
Morning. I'm Dr. Prajapati Sahu.
Yes.
In fact, I'm a student of English literature. I want to ask a general question.
Yes, yes.
In fact, now ecology has become a great concern for all nations.
Yes.
My question is, can nanotechnology play a role in protecting the ecology? Thank you.
Actually, the nanotechnology, my research area is to develop some new reactions for drug synthesis. I am not aware of this, how the, as I said, the previous speaker said, Dr. Rai, that the nanotechnology have a beneficial effects on the drug delivery systems because they have a different technology. But what we used to do here is we find a new reaction methods to develop a new drug molecules. But our duty is not that how it could be delivered to your body systems to for the treatment of your disease. And I guess nanotechnology is a fine technology, is a very nice technology to use these natural product drugs for solving the disease related problems. I'm not sure whether means drug synthesis, my research area will be correlate to the nanotechnology because it's totally different. My research area is basic development of basic reaction. Basic reaction is simply, I said you one example is the hydration reaction of alkynes. Though everybody know hydration reaction what it is, but still there is a lack for further development of reaction because as I said, I could able to synthesize functionalized beta ketoester by hydration reactions, which was not precedented before. So this is the research that we do. So it is better to have. It's only I came to know when I will have collaboration with nanotechnology people.
Any question from online participants? I request all the online participants, if you want to ask any question, just unmute your microphone and ask the question.
Sir, number ଅଛି ତ ପାଖେ ଏତେ କଲ୍ ଦେଖୁ ସେଟା କର
Okay, no question. Okay, so now I am handing over the microphone to our senior lecturer, Mr. Sarendra Prasad Misra, to offer vote of thanks on behalf of the Prananath College Autonomous Khordha and Department of Chemistry, PN College Khordha.
Good morning to all. Good morning to all the parents. Myself, Sarendra Prasad Misra. On behalf of our department, our Prananath College, many thanks to you, Dr. Tapas Ranjan sir. Actually, the beauty of chemistry is found in synthesis, and when it is drug synthesis, it is more beautiful. So thanks for delivering such a beautiful topic.
My pleasure, yes, my pleasure.
Thanks to our principal, madam. Thanks to our head of the department, Dr. Ajanta madam, for bringing such a seminar. Thanks to Priyaprata sir, Vaishak sir, Manju madam, Sushant sir, everybody, and all the clients for making it a super duper and successful seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapas Ranjan Pradhan. I should conclude with one quotation. A teacher is of the students, for the students, by the students. So see the example, Dr. Tapas Ranjan Pradhan happens to be the student, one of the brilliant student of our brilliant teacher of our department, Dr. P.C. Vaishak. So we teachers are proud of our students. And we expect the same from the students present here. Anyway, the technical session for today is over. The next technical session will begin tomorrow. So I hope that all the participants in online will join us tomorrow, and all the students present here will join us tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thanks for participation. Do join us tomorrow at the same time here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tapas, for your beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Good time.